So one place that I can think of that really represented Keck's feelings well was that passage about the holes, when he talks about all the holes that are missing from where he is with his aunt and cousin. I think we used it to talk about setting and how things are missing from setting. So I'm going to go back to this passage and reread it just like we talked about on that chart. So this chapter is called TV Machine. So I'm going to reread this, and then we're going to use some thinking skills and some questioning strategies to think analytically about this chapter. So, my aunt makes food on the cooking fire. We eat simply, with tastes and smells of my home, and we talk with the words and sounds I know sweet in my mouth. But the more home returns to me, the more I remember all I've lost. I feel the holes where my mother, my father, my brother should be. My uncle, my aunt's husband, and their other children too. 2 girls younger than Gunwar. Sometimes, it seems to me, a hole can be as real and solid as a boulder or a tree. So that's not the whole chapter, but I'm going to just stop right there because I think that part is really, really deep and important. So we have this next chart, the questions to help you think analytically. And we already divided it into parts, right? We thought about what are the parts that best represent Keck's feelings? That's step 1. And how does this part fit into the book as a whole? So let's think about this TV machine part, where he talks about missing his home. How does this fit into the book as a whole? Well, I think he talks about his family a lot, especially his mom, his brother, and his dad. So I think this fits into the book pretty well. It seems to be a reoccurring theme that keeps coming up. But it's also very, very, very sad and deep. And although there are a lot of deep parts of this book, there are some parts that are less so. There's some lighter and funnier parts, and this is not one of those. This is a very sad and real and deep part of the book. And here he brings up his uncle and his younger cousins as well, who aren't around because of the war. And this is the first time, and so far the only time, that we have heard about them. Even as we've read on from this chapter, we haven't heard about his aunt's husband and younger children again. So this sticks out a little bit more because it talks very specifically about family members that he's lost that we don't get to hear a lot about. This is also one of the only stanzas that has a very clear rhyme sequence. Sometimes it seems to me a hole can be as real and solid as a boulder or a tree. Rhymes are meant to stick in your brain. Our brains work a certain way with rhymes that we remember them really well and they stand out. So I think that might be why he chose to rhyme in that stanza, because it's so important to him that these people who are missing are very, very valid, and they take up a lot of space in his life, even though it's an empty space. So that is one way that we would think deeply about a book, think analytically, that was following this very first bullet point, that is divide into parts. What are the important parts or scenes? How does this part fit into the book as a whole? So that's what we just practiced. Or I just showed you. I guess you didn't really practice it. That's what I just modeled for you. And then you're going to practice a couple more of these strategies just in a minute.